This episode of Around the Grounds with Chocco is brought to you by Central Murray Live, 1332 3SH and 107.7 Mix FM. Welcome to Around the Grounds, and I am super excited to be having a chat with this person today. And geez, me and him have a bit of history because once upon a time he used to sit there and tell me what to do, and today, well, I get to tell him what to do. So to that, absolutely fantastic to welcome this bloke. He's had a fantastic career when it comes to football and administration within the region, and has done remarkable things in the region. And Glenn Stewart, mate, welcome to Around the Grounds.
Thank you very much, David. I think that should be Mr. Stewart, isn't it? I used to teach you many moons ago, David.
Yeah, we won't say that was many years ago. It was most recently, mate. But wonderful memories.
My age, David.
No, well, wonderful memories, mate. As they say, we learned from the best along the way. But mate, let's get back to you started your footy career, mate, in Rochi. Under 17s, mate. Tell us a bit about that. We won't mention the year, but yeah, you started back in Rochi.
Yeah, certainly did, David. They were good years. Rochi obviously came out of the Bendigo Football League and went into the Goulburn Valley, and they weren't allowed to have a senior side when they first crossed over. So when I played in, well, I will say, 77, they had just got a senior side back. And they really struggled, but they became a real powerhouse in the Goulburn Valley. I think they played in 10 grand finals straight. They won 4 and played in 10, but they were fantastic years. Some really good players down at Rochi over the journey.
Now, you spent some time through the Uni Blacks back in your old uni college days, and you were at we were at Stanhope. And then, mate, you got the call to come up to Lelbert. Tell us a bit about that call to come up to Lelbert.
Well, there you go. I finished teachers training, I suppose, at Melbourne State in 82, and so headed up, looked for a placement, and finished up at Swan Hill Technical School. And there was a couple of blokes that played with the Lelbert Eagles at the time, Howard Roseborn and a few of the boys, and I said, you better come out the road and play at Lelbert. And they took me out there the first night of training, and we drove and we drove and we drove, David. And I thought, where the hell am I going to? And eventually we came across a couple of wheat silos, and I said, where are we? And they said, you're here, you're at Lelbert. And but they've been a fantastic club, and I had a magnificent time out there, and over probably a 5 or 6 year period, and 10 years with cricket out there. It was just sensational.
Now, you played some senior football, but probably one of your biggest accomplishments, mate, you coached Tony Free in the under-17s.
Certainly did. I can remember in that particular year, we only had 14 players, Chocco, and but he made up about 4 of them, by the way, so that gave us the 18 to run out. And it was a pretty tough gig, in actual fact, to only have 14 young boys, but they stuck to their task, and we made the finals the following year. And I think in 92, 8 of those young players went on and played in the 92 Lelbert Premiership over Wirranoo. You probably didn't want to hear that, David.
No. Well, they had a fantastic dynasty back then, Lelbert, and they are a terrific club, now known as the Mallee Eagles. But, mate, your administration career, probably one of the most respected administrators in the region, and it all started, mate. You're an administrator out at Lelbert. You helped with recruiting. Mention some of the blokes that you recruited to the club that actually went on to win Jack Beck medals.
Yeah, just lucky enough, you're in the right place at the right time. But, we picked up Rob Waterson. We stole him from Swan Hill. He was obviously a very good player. He came out and coached and won Jack Betts. Alan Davies, who's Swanning. Fantastic, beautiful footballer to watch, Swanning. We picked him up from Rainbow. I obviously married a Rainbow girl, so I watched him play, and this guy was getting 40 and 50 kicks a game, so we obviously recruited him. And Gavin Schultz was another player, obviously time had in the VFL with Richmond, and he went on to win a Jack Betts. in that period of time, David, I think I was just looking at it before that Albert had 4 Jack Betts medalists, if you include Trevor Holt, in 5 years, which, and you know, we didn't make finals, or well, we might have made one lot of finals in that period of time. So we had some really, really good footballers in that period.
Now, in 1988, mate, you transitioned from club administration into league administration. What was the reason for that, Stewie? What made you make that move?
Oh, look, I think it was the influence of John Monaghan. In actual fact, he rang me up. And John, I've got an enormous amount of respect for John and what he's done for football. Obviously, he's an OAM. He's been recognised for his contribution to not only local football, but Victorian country football. And he rang me up and said, I think I've got a job for you, Stewie, and that's looking after schoolboys footy. And I really loved it. I was involved for 8 years with schoolboys, took them to Melbourne every year with Powley and Bernie Maher and blokes like that, and had a fantastic time. So I put it down to John Monaghan, the bugger, and I probably had 15 or 16 years afterwards from there.
Now, 1988 to 96, you're involved with regional junior schoolboys footy, mate. Can you name, besides myself, who were one of the better footballers back then, mate?
Yeah, good call, Chocco. Look, Brent Guerrero was a fantastic footballer. We took him away. Dean Bennett, although Dean didn't get a really big run in the schoolboys footy at the time, but he turned out to be an absolute champion. And there were a couple of other blokes that went on and played league footy from there as well. And we won schoolboys footy a couple of times in Division 1 down there and during that period of time. So we had some really, really good local talent, and that came through later on. I know we're going to get to interleague, but that came through in the interleague days as well, all of those players.
Yeah, and then talking about interleague, mate, you had a massive role with interleague, and for the viewers, interleague was huge back in the day, and still is, but it was really, it meant something back in the day. And tell us a bit about your interleague days, what your role was, and who were some of the players that you were involved with?
Well, look, it was really put our league on the map. You know, the old Mid-Murray, what are we, a population of about 20,000 people up against Latrobe Valley, 250,000, 100,000 around the Bendigo area, etc., Geelong and all of those places. And so we won in, I think it was 92 or 93, and then we played in the 2 grand finals in Division 1. And it was just, Darryl Powell, fantastic. He brought all those blokes together. Graham Osterberry, Chris Marn, they were behind the scenes and really worked well to support what we were doing at the time. And we would play those 3 games. So I think we played something like 12 interleague games in 4 years. We were runners-up in Division 2, then we won Division 2, and then finished up runners-up in Division 1. And so over that period of time, I think we beat 10 of the major leagues, every major league in Victoria. Unfortunately, we couldn't get over Latrobe Valley and also Golden Valley in the 2 Division 1 finals. But there were just some magnificent players. When I think back about Polly Baird and Chris Wall and Charlie Keldo and, the list goes on and on in terms of just some real quality, not only quality footballers, but just quality blokes as well. Glenn Fitzpatrick, Mark O'Mara, all of these, Stewart McGregor. Stewart played on some of the best, most talented full forwards in Victoria and country Victoria and ex-AFL in actual fact, and he nearly beat them every one in playing at full-back. And then, some of the younger local players like Matty Curran, he played some fantastic football. Robbie Lee, great leader, and went up a level. When they played interleague football, some of these guys just went up another level. Nathan Quick, a great player, could play at full forward, as we know, kicked 100 goals or over 100 goals, but he could also play at full back and handle some of the quality forwards in Victorian country footy. So it was just fantastic to be involved in, and we made it like the 9th club of the Mid-Murray. I think that's been well recorded. We did have social functions. We did stick together because these blokes were training probably... They'd have, Monday, Tuesday and Thursday with their own clubs, and then Sunday and one night a week with us. So they were training, for nearly 10 weeks at an interleague level, which was a fair commitment, though.
And did you ever have any issues getting blokes to put their hand up, or was it just they were biting at the chop to be involved?
They were biting at the chop to be involved. I would think there might have been one in that 4-year period, and that was a reasonable excuse in actual fact. But they just wanted to play, and when they got cut off the list, they were devastated. Because it really had that strong camaraderie. We were lucky in Mid-Murray because we had a lot of young local boys that had come through, the school boys, as I said before, and they would. They'd go to the OE and they were mates, and they were socially. But on a Saturday when they played against each other in the club competition, was obviously on for young and old. But just having the interleague there was just something for them to really look forward to, and to play at that level against quality opposition was fantastic. I know in the Latrobe Valley game when we got done, we got absolutely thumped. But it was the coldest day I reckon on record in Swan Hill. But 8 of those players from Latrobe Valley walked straight into AFL sides or VFL sides the following year. So that just gives you the level of how good these footballers were.
Were you surprised that not many players got picked up to go play down south in the big time? Because they were the best of the best. But was it surprising that there wasn't many that took that next step?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised, David, because, we had some really good players like Bundy Foot, Vince Foot and Peter Foot, and I think Peter did go down and try out. Dean Bennett. I would have to say Dean Bennett is probably the best footballer I've seen in my time over nearly 35 years in Central Murray, Mid-Murray football. He was just magnificent to watch. 2 Jack Betts medals, 4 club best and fairest, I think. Maybe might even be more, and he's also won a Feedy medal down at North Central as well, and probably a best and fairest at Birchip. So he was just an awesome player to watch. I saw him kick 7 goals on the QEO, and I reckon 4 of those were probably from well over 50, 55 metres out to win against Bendigo. Just a fantastic footballer, but yeah, it was just interesting that they didn't get their chance at the next level.
Now, let's talk a bit about Mid-Murray, Central Murray football. Administration started to evolve. It started to become more professional. It was more around a business rather than social. You had some heavy impact in terms of that merger when I think 3 leagues came together to form 1 league. Tell us a bit about why it happened. And what was involved in that happening, which now is formed the Central Murray Football Netball League?
Well, there was a review that was carried out. I think it was basically called the Farnsworth Review in the region that came down from the VCFL. It had come down and made some recommendations about some of our clubs and some of the clubs in the Northern District. And there was a lot of debate about that. They were very heated meetings. I think out at Naya, for example, there might have been 300 or 400 people at the trotting track in the pavilion upstairs, and recommendations were being made. So football was a bit of a hot topic around that period of time. But what effectively broke it open was Kerrang had made a decision to come to the Mid-Murray Football League. And once that decision was made, and I think Moama had made a decision to go to the Murray Football League, that broke it open. And so therefore people like myself and Graham Osterberry and Tony Mallis and Tori Fakara, I think we had 17 meetings in 17 nights to pull it together. We only had a couple of weeks while the momentum was there to have those conversations. I think the sticking point was about the junior grounds and not having a second oval for those teams to play their juniors at the one venue. So that was a bit of a sticking point. But eventually we broke open. Once Kerrang came, then Kundra Barham and also Kiuna came, and they'd obviously amalgamated too. A little bit later on, Leachville Gunbow came across, and of course they've obviously moved on. But look, it was pretty heavy lifting. It was tough. It was a tough conversation, but pretty proud of the fact now for the last 22 years we've got a pretty stable structure. And, there was a lot of circling of each other, the north and the south, and for a while. But what I find now is when you go to the footy, as we do, everyone seems to get on pretty well. And when Wirraneen Sheds burnt down, clubs like Kiuna and other southern clubs really jumped in to try and help them, and vice versa about different things that have occurred. So I see us now as a really good, tight-knit community and tight-knit league.
So the transition from administration, Stewie, tell us a bit about from the early 90s to pretty much what was pretty much right through to your tender in the 2000s, mate. What were some of the big changes that happened? Where did you see the change, the change happening? Where was the game moving? Where are the areas that you think that, that there are some concerning factors going forward?
Well, we had to get more professional. You said it before, and so we had to get staff that were on more of a part-time basis than just nearly a volunteer basis. So we had to look at it. We decided then, obviously, to move the finals around because our previous arrangement was to play all finals, basically the Swan Hill Rec and the prelim final at Tulibuck under the Mid-Murray sort of Tulibuck club sponsorship arrangement. So then we can't do this. We've got to move them around, and we've got to be fair to the clubs and make them have the opportunity to tender and to get some benefit of holding a final financially, and also promoting their facilities and those sorts of things and building on their facilities. So that was the thing. Other things, we brought in security. Howie Rosemond, for example, brought in the computer technology stuff. We're an early adopter to all of that sort of stuff. So there was a lot of work that went on behind the scenes to make our league much more professional. And the point system, the quality assurance to making the champion club and things of that nature, to recognise good practice. They were really critical things in making our league much stronger, I think, and that's been important over the journey.
35 years, mate, of admin and being involved, mate. Is there one particular grand final that stands out more than others?
Well, I was pretty excited about last year's grand final. In actual fact, I don't know if the quality of the footy was as good as I've seen, but it was pretty exciting there. Obviously, with Wirranee, I think they thought that they were gone in the last few minutes, and but as luck would have it, the ball goes down on the halfway forward line, and young Miliardo does the rest in front of the Swan Hill crowd, and he let them know too after he kicked that goal. But I'll go back to one, and that was against Wirranee when they won in '92. Brett O'Mara kicked 3 goals from nearly 60 metres out in the last quarter. We were down by about 15 points, and he came home with the goods, took some strong marks between centre and centre-half forward on the recreation reserve, and just went back and drilled them, and one beautiful goal on the run. And, I remember that and that was a drought breaker for us, obviously, 76, 92. And those celebrations were pretty thick and fast on that night.
Now, current days, mate, you're involved in the media. You've done some writing for local papers, but one of the things that probably you were really involved with was broadcasting football via radio. I know a good mate of yours, Jeff Hickmott, and a few got together and started broadcasting, and now you're involved with Central Murray Live, who do local broadcasting. But tell us a bit about what the concept behind that was and how that got up on the ground.
Well, I think that the challenge was that 3SH had acted aside, and I'd had a few good conversations with Gatto, good bloke Gatto, and it wasn't going to come back on commercial radio at the time, so we thought, well, we'll go and do it on community radio. Again, John Monaghan stood up again and was able to get $20,000 worth of sponsorship for us to get the gear, and away we went. And but full credit to Paul Gatson. He realised that there was a taste for listening to it on the radio again. And, in the first year he put it on Mix FM, which I thought was a fantastic thing. And then the last couple of years have been on 3SH. But local people do want to listen to local footy. I don't know whether the AFL, whether they're a little bit burnt off with that, etc. But I think people want to know what's happening locally. And so I know our ratings have been sky high and not blowing our own trumpet, but people just want to have that again. And the addition, as you've done as well, the boundary riding of interviewing the players and the coaches has added another dimension to it, David, I think, and again, made it very professional, and people like listening to it.
Well, football is the heart and soul of everyone's community, mate, and you've been a part of that for many years. And Stewie, mate, or Mr. Stewart, I should say. Not many people call me David besides my mum, so yeah, that is my name, but most people know me as Chocco. But Stewie, mate, thank you for everything you've done across the region. I know you've played a massive part in my career, but many others, and absolute pleasure to reminisce back on the time, mate, and everything you've done in the Central Murray, and look forward to, hopefully, fingers crossed, this year we might hear you on the radio again, but definitely in the near future, mate, on Central Murray Live.
Thanks very much, David. It was lovely to reminisce, and great to catch up and see a young protege doing pretty well for himself. So all the best, mate.
Good on you, Stewie. Appreciate it.
See you, buddy.